You remember this knife that we made all fancy and stuff? Let's make a cutting board for it too. Hello and welcome back to another video. Glad you're here. Today, you remember this knife that we made? Well, we didn't make the knife, but we put the scales on it and we etched the blade here. Today, we're going to make a cutting board, and it's going to be a pretty simple process. What we're going to do is we're going to take what I've got here is maple and walnut wood, and I've got them cut down. They're 3/4 inches thick. You can use any kind of thickness you want, any kind of length, any kind of width that you want, doesn't matter. But what I'm using here is just 3/4 inch thick maple and walnut, and they're going to be alternating. They're about 12 inches long, about 1.5 inches wide. And again, like I said, you can make these whatever sizes you want. This is just the general process of how to do it. Pretty simple. What you can do, these are actually a little bit longer than the 12 inches that I need, because what's going to happen is when I go to glue these together, there may be a little off, like, you know, here might be a little off whenever it's glued up, and you want to leave it just a little bit longer than your final size that you're going for, so that you can trim down the sides of it and get the final dimensions that you're going for. So this is going to be fairly simple. To get these put in a clamp. So I've got these put in the clamp, and the easiest way to do this, you stand up all but the last one here. What this is going to do is you're going to put your glue here, 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 and here, and then when you lay it down and clamp it together, there's a glue on every joint, and then you clamp it together and you let it sit. And then what you're gonna do when you glue it up, you want to line these up as good as you can, you know, as close as possible, so that there's less waste and less cleanup to have to do at the end. So we're going to clamp this up. I'll come back in a few hours after all the glue is set and everything, and then we will work on sanding down the surface, cleaning up the sides, and doing a finish on this. It's just going to be, you're just going to use baby oil, which is like I said before, it's essentially just a mineral oil, but it works the same pretty much basic concept as a what they call cutting board oil and everything else. So just an easier thing to do. Baby oil doesn't really transfer to food when you're using it, and if it does, it's an all natural oil, mineral oil anyway, so it's not gonna hurt you. I mean, it's made for babies, so should be okay for you. But I'm not going to say it is. I'm not a doctor, blah, blah, whatever. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to clamp this up, come back and look at it when it's all done, and work on finishing it up. Alright, now got the clamps loosened up. It's been a while. Take this out of the clamps. And what I've done is I did this on purpose just to show what can happen sometimes when you're gluing up, or, you know, this is why you make it a little bit longer than what you need. This way you don't have to be, you know, quite so exacting when you're gluing it up. You leave yourself a little bit of play that you can trim down and cut up to and get it where you need it. So what I'm going to do is go trim this off here on the radial arm saw, both sides, you know, square everything up, and then I'm going to start sanding this down. Oh, hey, focus. Alright, and we're back. And I'm going to sand the surface down. You can see sometimes wood isn't always the exact same thickness, or when you're clamping it up, it doesn't always come out completely flat and flush and smooth and everything. You can run this through a planer if you want, or you can sand it down. I'm going to probably just sand it down. It's not real high, so it won't take a whole lot with the sander to do. But if you ever have a lot of ups and downs on here, you can always use a planer, or the planer jig that I made before would work really well for this. I'll leave a link in the description for that. And then, but for now, like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on and trim this off and clean up all the edges and sand down the surface, and then we'll go from there as far as finishing it and maybe adding some more details to it if you would like to. So now, as you can see, you got to sand it down flat, smooth on the top here. Do the same thing on the back side. Make it flat and everything where it sits, you know, doesn't wobble around when you're using it. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to take some probably 80 grit sandpaper and maybe down to like 120 or 220 just to smooth it up a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down the edges of it here, and I'm just going to smooth off this kind of sharp edge and just kind of roll it over just a little bit. You're welcome to also use a router if you want. You can use a router and route an actual profile or round over or chamfer or anything like that on here if you want to. Just for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to round this over a little bit and sand it off with just some hand sandpaper just to clean it up a little bit, and then we'll apply the oil to it. Cutting boards are something that you don't want to. They do make food grade finishes that you can spray on here, but for the most part, where you're going to be, you know, washing it and stuff, you just use, like I said, I use baby oil. It's just mineral oil in a different form, basically. Fragrance-free baby oil works if you're worried about the fragrances having a problem with something or whatever. But whenever you wash this, it's just like you wash anything else. You don't want to let it soak in the sink, obviously, but some soap and water, wipe it off, you know, clean it off, and then take a towel, dry it off, set it off, and let it dry out, and it'll be ready to go for the next time. You can re-oil it each time if you want, or, you know, every few times you use it, just kind of put another coat of baby oil on it, or mineral oil, or cutting board oil if you are so inclined to use that. But I think baby oil works just fine. I got a cutting board over at the house I've used for, you know, years, and we always just put baby oil on it to kind of condition it and keep it nice looking. But I'm going to sand this down, put some oil on it, and then we'll take a look at it at the end. And you'll see that the baby oil will bring out a lot of the details and stuff in here too. So let's do that. Like with other projects, put the finish on, and you'll be able to see how much detail it brings out. It's really going to pop the piece and really bring it to life. And there you go, just like that. Got a really nice cutting board, ready to cut even the finest of cheeses. Cut the cheese, get it? Okay, that was bad. But yeah, here it is. Kind of got the got the knife up here with it. It has walnut handles, kind of blends in well, matches well with this cutting board. Makes kind of like a nice little set or something, you know, if you want to make like a knife cutting board set for somebody. These woods work really well. Walnut and maple and cherry. There's a couple other ones that are, you want to use hardwoods, hickory, stuff like that. Really hard, dense grained woods. They're going to be less likely to, you know, soak up any kind of bacteria or juices from whatever you're cutting. They know last a lot longer than any other kind of wood will. But there it is. Just overall, just really looks nice. And like I said, you're welcome to you know, route a full-on profile in here, but even just the hand paper, taking it off, just smooths it down, makes it a little easier to work with, kind of cleans up the look a little bit too. There it is. Ready to go. Alright, and that's going to do it for another one. Thank you all again for stopping by. I always appreciate you all coming by and watching the videos, commenting, liking, subscribing, and all that. So if you do like the content here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And then when you subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified of my upcoming videos. And thank you all as always. Take care. We'll see you next time. What was that? So, hey, is it a new outro or something? I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Knife. Knife. K-knife.